Hello and welcome to the channel, Gav Axeman Spins. So as promised on a previous video, this one is the Pulp albums ranked to celebrate the fact that they are releasing their 8th studio album after a very long gap at the start of June. Singles been issued in terms of you can stream it. I think there is a physical release that's limited, called Spike Island, in homage to the Stone Roses legendary gig. The video is brilliant if you haven't seen it. It's like a commentary on the use of AI, very funny, but does make a pertinent point. But the next album will be album number 8, and that's in a career that started in 1983. So they've been going a lot longer than I think a lot of people realised. There were a couple of studio albums, loads of singles in the 80s, and then obviously their heyday was the 90s. They bowed out in 2001, I think, with a best of that, believe it or not, didn't barely scrape the top 100. The stock had fallen, but I think there is an all things 90s kind of vibe doing the rounds at the moment. So obviously Blur have done an album last year, Oasis are back. So I always think of obviously Suede have had a really great a few years on the comeback trail. So I always think of Pulp as the kind of Roxy music, if you like, of the Britpop movement. If Oasis were the Slade and Blur were trying to be the king. So great band, very clever, wonderful lyrics, live brilliant. Jarvis Cocker is a little national hero in the UK following his Michael Jackson stage invasion. But they've got a catalogue that's been going a long time, stretching back to 1983. There's only currently 7 studio albums. I'm going to include an 8th, which is a comp of singles, but it's pretty essential in my opinion, so I'm going to put that one in the ranking, and then obviously the new one will be winging its way to us shortly. So without further ado, so where to start? So for me, the way I do my ranking videos, I just literally would pick the one that I would listen to least at the bottom and the one that I would listen to the most at the top. And everything else in between. But the early albums are different. There is one absolute gem that's a bit of a hidden treasure, I think, in the Pulp catalogue that not a lot of people know about. So without further ado, let's have a look. So the one I'm going to put at the bottom, if you like, of essentialness would be the second album called Freaks. So this did get a Record Store Day reissue, I think in 2015, so this is this version, originally out in 1986. So the reason I put this at the bottom is there's a couple of tracks on it where Jarvis doesn't do the singing, which is a bit of an open goal really, that they, I don't know why they did that. I think the guy who did do the singing wasn't too happy that he was doing the singing either, but I think it was designed that on stage it gave Jarvis a breather, but they then translated it to the record. So the main album does suffer a little bit because of that. It's a little bit, you can tell it's the seeds of Pulp, if you like, are there. There's one track in particular called I Want You that I think they still played live many years later, because as soon as that comes on, that's that kind of Pulp sound. But Jarvis sings through most of this record in a much higher register rather than that deepy kind of vocal that we all know and love. But this particular version, if you are going to get a version, this does go up a notch, because this is a double album that also includes a load of singles and B-sides that made up the Masters of the Universe compilation. So it's actually well worth getting this, because there's some better stuff in amongst those singles than there were on the main album. Things like Little Girl with the Blue Eyes, Dogs Are Everywhere, things like that. So if you can find a copy, that's probably the one to go, because it's a double. This one was on red vinyl, but I'm sure it's probably been repressed and reissued 100 times, so on Fire Records. So my least essential Pulp album would be this one. It's kind of like a Finding Your Feet, but it is the essence of the band is there in patches. That's called Freaks. I think its full title is Freaks, 10 Stories About Power, Claustrophobia, Suffocation and Holding Hands. So typical Pulp-esque kind of wordplay there. Going back then for my next one would be their debut from 1983, and the reason I picked this above that one is this has a little bit of wonky charm. It's nothing really like Pulp. The band, the main kind of members that joined for their 90s heyday. None of them on here. Mission fans, I think Simon Hinkler turns up on a couple of tracks here. But it's got a wonky charm, this one. So again, this was a record store reissue in 2015, but it's Pulp, but not as you know it. But it's very 80s indie. Predates the Smiths even. That's how long they'd been going before they had any success. But I do quite like this. It's got a bit of wonky charm to it. Yeah, and again, this version, the original album, I think is like an 8-track EP, something like this. So this is a slightly longer version. But yeah, if you can get it, it's Pulp, but not as you know it. But it does have a wonky kind of indie 80s charm to it. Okay, so now we start getting into what you would call the serious stuff. So I had to think long and hard about where I put the next one, because there is a bit of an outlier in the Pulp catalogue that I might get into trouble from long-term fans. But anyhow, the one I'm going to put next is the album that came out last, which was We Love Life, I think from 2001. As I say, this one didn't do very well. I listened to this morning to give it another chance. It's actually not a bad record, in my opinion. But what it does lack a little bit is a great individual track. There's lots of good stuff on here, but nothing really kind of jumps out. The cover's a little bit nondescript as well. And lyrically, there's lots of songs about gardening for some reason. So I think it's a bit of an illogical kind of... eco thing, environmental, that's the word I was looking for, kind of message going on through this in a weird way. The key track is Wicker Man. That's a great song. The opener's pretty good as well, Weeds 1 and 2, and there's another good one called The Night That Minnie Timperley Died, about a girl who takes a lift home from somebody she shouldn't have. So but yeah, The Trees, Sunrise was the big single, but it didn't quite catch fire, this one, but certainly not a bad album. And actually I listened to this morning, I quite enjoyed it actually, but it's down a little bit down the rankings because what follows is even better. So that was that one. So the next one is this was the first Pulp album I bought, and it's called Intro. It is a compilation, and it's what's known as the Gift recordings. So it's a load of singles that came out before their kind of breakthrough album in the 90s. Now, what's particularly essential about this is, if you bought vinyl in the 1990s, and this one is an original, I think it did get a record store day reissue, but it was a special low price. And for many, many years, this was the only way to get Babies, which is one of their most famous songs, on vinyl, because the original version of His and Hers didn't include it on vinyl, so it was only on the CD. So but this is great because not only is Babies on it, but it's got one of my all-time favourite Pulp songs in terms of Razzmatazz, which was an indie disco floor filler back in the day. Brilliant song. It's got Sheffield Sex City on it, which is a fairly immortal song. It's just a really good album. This is where I came in with Pulp, and thought they were brilliant. First time I saw them live was shortly after this came out. They supported unannounced because the scheduled support band had split up for the umpteenth time. So when I went to see Oasis in '95, the support bands unknown to us were Ocean Colour Scene and Pulp. And Ocean Colour Scene debuted the Riverboat song, Pulp debuted Common People, and Oasis debuted Don't Look Back in Anger. So there's 3 cracking tracks from early '95 that eventually came out towards the end of the year, and the rest is history as such. But even then, Common People was like, whoa, you kind of knew that was a good one. But yeah, great album, well worth having in there. I don't normally put compilations in ranking videos, but this is so essential that it had to go in there. Right, so you're thinking, what's going on? So there's only 4 to go. So the next one is the hidden gem in the catalogue. I played this, and what I've listened to all these albums again over the last couple of weeks, and this one absolutely blew me away, and I'd forgotten how much fun this album is. So it was their 3rd studio album proper from 1992. Again, this is the record store day reissue. Album is called Separations. And this is fab. So side 1 is you, as soon as it comes on, you know the Pulp sound is starting to come through there. So some great tracks: Love Is Blind, She's Dead, Down by the River, all very Pulpish. But side 2 is even better because it's almost like I think the drummer that joined this, and I think this is the first time where the popular lineup kind of coalesced. But the drummer was a big like a rave fan, so side 2 is effectively like Pulp Goes to the Disco, and it's just brilliant. So Countdown, one of their best songs, My Legendary Girlfriend, is on this. Death 2, This House is Condemned, well worth getting this, and it's a really solid, good album, and a lot of fun, very light, hasn't quite got that full Pulp sound that they broke through with, but I really like this album. So I would a lot of Pulp fans probably have never heard of this, so if you can track one down, Separations, brilliant album, their third studio album, but one of their best in my opinion, and that was, I think, from 1992 that originally came out. Right, top 3. Okay, so Common People, etc., different class. So this is obviously the one most people probably put at number 1. For me, the reason it's not number 1 is that when it came out, I was slightly disappointed, and I probably didn't help is a lot of the tracks had already come out as singles. So Common People, Sorted for Reason was Miss Shapes was double A side, wasn't it? Underwear was the B side of Common People. So half of the album I kind of knew already, and I always felt it wasn't quite as good as what had gone before. But obviously it is the one that most people know and love. Bar Italia is a great track on there. Live Bed Show, Pencil Skirt, but there's a couple of songs on this that for some reason never quite click with me then. They still never quite clicked with me, and I got to be honest, if I ever hear Common People and Disco 2000 again on the radio, they're just kind of overplayed, which is why I don't enjoy this album quite so much as some of the others, but you can't really knock it, can you? So Breakthrough album from 1995. This is a reissue on plain records. I could probably do with a better version actually, but I have got the CD, which will suffice. But good album. Is it a great album? Nearly. The next 2 are great albums. So my number 2, I think this is one of the great 90s albums. This is Hardcore Pulp's follow-up to the success, if you like, the cocaine years, the self-loathing years, the opening track, The Fear, cracking track. I really love the second track called Dishes. Got some great lyrics on that. Help the Ages, what a single that was. So the title track, absolutely immense. So everything about this album I absolutely love, and it didn't do as well as what had gone before. It's a dark album, and I think it was like the final, if you like, death knell of Britpop. But what a way to go out. Great record, dark CD, you know, everything you kind of want from a Jarvis Cocker album, isn't it? So that will be my number 2. So no surprise, what will be my number 1? I thought this was a fabulous album then. It's still a fabulous album now. This version is even better because it's a double. So His and Hers, this is the Breakthrough album. The singles around this time, Lip Gloss, obviously, Do You Remember the First Time? Great track. Babies, which had come out as a single before, is on this version. It's just brilliant. I kind of could, it's one of those albums I could listen to over and over again. It never gets boring. It's got David's Last Summer, that big epic long track. Pink Glove, Joyriders, the opening track. I forgot about that one actually. What a cracking tune that is. But this is one of those albums that's soundtracked a year of my life in '94, and I still, if I'm going to put a Pulp album on, you know, I just want to enjoy it, this is the one I always go to because it's just fabulous from start to finish. If you want a nice version, I don't know how rare this is a 2012 reissue, which adds a load of other stuff on the back there. So BBC sessions, some demos, and then the Sisters EPs on here as well. So yeah, number 1, Jarvis and the Gang. Looking forward to the new one. Tell me what you think in the comments if you're as enthusiastic as I am. I will point out there's a little CD there. The current issue of Mojo magazine has a lovely Pulp CD. I will get it for you, which has a load of rarities, live tracks and stuff like that. So that's the track listing. I picked mine up on eBay because I don't subscribe to Mojo anymore. But live, rare, unreleased, 1982 to 2025. Crikey. All those years, and they have only managed to come up with 7 studio albums so far. So not exactly a big work rate, is it? But there they all are. Short and sweet discography, but high on quality. And if there's one take from this video, any Pulp fans that are watching this who haven't heard this album, go and find a copy of Separations. Great album. Thanks for watching Gavaxman Spins. I'll see you on the next one, which is liable to be the 1-year anniversary of the channel video special that I've been plotting and planning for the last week or so. Thanks to all those that are still watching at 15 minutes in, and anyone who's liking, subscribing and that type of stuff. Over and out.